Check this out. This is a little different. You see, comic books was just as hungry and clueless as Hollywood when it came to kung fu and the martial arts craze in the early 70s. Especially with the explosion after the Enter the Dragon movie. As I mentioned before, at that time, it seemed like on television, every hero who could fight had a background in karate or kung fu, even if the actor portraying the character really didn't train. Though honestly, some realized the benefit to their career, so they started training after the fact. See, comic books were vulnerable to this pop culture thing, so the companies started creating characters like Shang-Chi, Iron Fist, Richard Dragon, and others. Though some characters, like the Karate Kid and Judo Master, predated that explosion. Those guys were around since the 1960s. And quiet as it's kept, comic books too suffered from that situation as television did, as many of the artists and the writers had never trained. They never set foot in a dojang or a dojo. So the characters' fight scenes looked, well, strange. But anyway, yes, television and comic books were eager to jump on pop culture trends. Well, having said that, another pop trend at the time period was the so-called blaxploitation films. You know, with movies like Shaft, Superfly, Trouble Man, Coffee, and so on. Now, the comic books responded with characters like Luke Cage, Jonathan Stewart, you know, the Black Green Lantern, Black Lightning, you know. Oh, and for the comic book people out there, Marvel's The Falcon and the Black Panther predate that blaxploitation genre, though there is a case to be said about it, about the movie In the Heat of the Night, and how a lot of us feel that In the Heat of the Night somehow helped create the genre. But more on that at another time. Or you can check out the Professor Charles Wood's videos. He goes more in depth on that. Now, where was I? Oh yeah. So, with the popularity of Jim Kelly and then Ron Van Cleef and Carl Scott, comic books created black martial arts characters. Marvel had Midnight, though he was pretty much just, at first, just a one-shot character appearing with Shang-Chi, Master of Kung Fu comic. And then, I think it was their first issue, and I think he ended up dying that same issue. Midnight, well, the problem with the character was, well, the name Midnight. He's a black man, really? And he's just a shadow? I mean, he's all in black. He's got a black suit on, he's got a black coat, and a black fedora hat. But the other character that was there that I really remember was the BronzeTiger. Now, the BronzeTiger was pretty much a villain, a bad guy. He was an assassin, and then he became kind of like an anti-hero. He's been through some changes depending upon the writer and the editor. But with all that, for me, the character had two main problems, especially in the 70s and 80s. Like I mentioned before, neither the writer nor the artist, they didn't train. So the character's techniques looked kind of silly and strange. But number two, His dialogue was often cringeworthy, as if it was apparent that the writer wasn't a black person and they just happened to listen to some song on the radio or heard some kids talking on the subway and they snatched what they thought black slang sounded like. Man, that was annoying. But as I said, he's been through a number of adaptations. And throughout all of that, the one thing that remained constant was that he was a top-level martial artist. Even beating DC's top martial artist, Batman, a few times. So in terms of comic books, and because he's been around since the 1970s, I think the BronzeTiger can be considered a warrior of bronze and fire, especially for comic book fans.